Pranjal ji, you can start now. Hiranmay sir is still not here with us. He will be joining in a while. Pranjal ji, you are not audible. Uh, Pranjal ji, you are still not audible.
शुरू करो ना।
Sorry everyone for our delay. Maybe Pranjal is facing some technical issues, so let me start. Good morning to one and all. I, Harsh Agarwal, on behalf of Think India, on our day 4 of Indigenous Uttishta Bharat Think India Startup and Innovation Week. In today's morning session, we are going to have a panel discussion on the topic policy to promote student entrepreneurship. It gives me immense pleasure and joy to greet our honorable guest in the panel today. We also welcome Think India National Convener Shri Pratik Sutharji with us. With us today, we, with us today, we have Shri Sunil Sukla sir with us. The Shri Sunil Sukla sir is the Director of Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India and Center for Advanced Studies, Utkal University, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. He had over 20 years of experience in education, research, and institution building. His review of entrepreneurship curriculum in higher activities institution help universities grants commission. Dr. Shukla, in his Directors of Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, had adjusted winners of Outstanding Entrepreneurship Program abroad for Institute flagship program by United States Association for Small Business to Entrepreneurship. He is also Institute's newly launched doctoral course fellowship program in management that focus quality research in entrepreneurship. He had been involved in promoting entrepreneurship at national and international level. Also have with us Dr. Hiranmay Mahanta sir. Hiranmay Mahanta sir is the CEO of Innovation Hub Gujarat. Hiranmay Mahanta sir has graduated from SVNIT Surat. He is currently appointed as CEO of iHub Gujarat. He is also the founder of Techpedia, which he started as student startup. Mr. Mahanta is Mr. Mr. Mahanta is advisor to AICTE and MHRD on startup policies. Since past 10 years, he is dedicated to supporting innovation and entrepreneurship across the country and actively involved in building platforms for emerging startup. He had played major role in the launch of Startup Gujarat and Student Innovation Policy. Due to his efforts in supporting student startup, Gujarat has emerged as best place for early stage startups and noticed 2000 plus new startup venture in the past 2 years. We also have with us Dr. Srinivas Madhusudan Kandadaji. Sir, Sir is the principal consultant and program manager at MedTech and Generic Healthcare Technology Business Incubator located at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Sir has graduated from John F. Kennedy School of Government from Harvard University. He has 22 years experience of healthcare entrepreneurship expertise in 12 years in medical administration and 8 years in healthcare IT consultancy and about 3 years into enterprise agility and publishing case administration. He is the proven servant leader in account management role with multiple healthcare and science domain, financial and banking domain. Proven leader in business process re-engineering and transformation. He is also the former member, Board of Governor of highly prestigious and historical public school group. We welcome you, sir. With our today's session, we will begin with each of our honorary guests with their with guiding our entrepreneur student with their own journey on the topic policy to promote student entrepreneurship. So we welcome every one of us here, and we are proud with our guest. Uh, we are proud with our guest today, and we will start with Sunil sir and his views on policy to promote student entrepreneurship. While this session goes on, I request everyone to kindly mute their mics and turn off their camera, and the question can be taken at the end of this session.
Thank you. A very good morning to all of you. I compliment the organizers from Think India and all those who are part of this welcome initiative. This is the time for entrepreneurship. The last few years, we have seen that there has been a spurt in talk about entrepreneurship, efforts about entrepreneurship, and various forums, including media, conferences, seminars, have been focusing on new emerging entrepreneurs. We have also seen that how entrepreneurship has grown over years and what kind of technology ventures have been promoted by knowledge entrepreneurs, those who have come from various premier institutes also. Whether it is we talk of the Bansal friends from IIT alumni, IIT Delhi alumni, or our Ahmedabad-based, we have Mr. Vishal Mehta of Infibeam, Deep Kalra, who graduated from IIM Ahmedabad. There are many such people, those who have come out of premier institutes and they have launched their newer initiatives and have been successful also. In recent years, if we have seen the last 5, 6 years, 7 years, a lot of newer initiatives also have been taken in general for promoting entrepreneurship and encouraging student ventures. Some of the initiatives taken by Government of India are Startup India, which essentially focuses on student entrepreneurship, particularly encouraging those who are from the campuses and how campus-based enterprises can come out. Stand Up India looks at strengthening women entrepreneurs and also those who are marginalized, those who are from disadvantaged sections, that every bank branch in the country is supposed to support 2 units in a year. Swachh Bharat Mission, this itself has given a lot of newer opportunities to entrepreneurs to identify the challenges and to convert these challenges into entrepreneurial opportunities. Make in India earlier, government launched and few sectors were announced, and whether not only in manufacturing, but there are in the services as well. Lot of newer opportunities have come out of that. Digital India, which aims at connecting all about 6.5 lakh villagers through optic fiber. This is also part of Shri Shama Prasad Mukherjee Rural Mission. There are opportunities, and recently government has announced post-COVID Atmanirbhar Bharat, which again is an attempt to provide a stimulus or reinforcement to enterprises. But our discussion today is about student entrepreneurship. How do we promote student entrepreneurship, and what kind of policies do we require? Various state governments, they have startup policies. Gujarat has a startup policy, and for the last 2 years, continuously in a row, Gujarat has been rated as #1 state in the country for supporting startup initiatives and developing, strengthening startup ecosystem. Also, there are other states. They have taken Kerala. Launched that startup village. Telangana is there. T-Hub is there. Odisha also has taken it up as a priority, and they have been doing it to encourage startups on campuses. A lot of initiatives have been taken. So there are good policies, good initiatives that have been taken. I would like to. I think it would not be out of reference if I share one of my own studies, which I conducted some time back, which is still relevant. In 2003, I conducted, which was for Ministry of SSI and ARI, which is MSME Ministry today. I and my predecessor, Dr. Dinesh Awasthi, we conducted this study. We tried to find out that despite so many perceived advantages of entrepreneurship, why people are not coming forward to become entrepreneurs. Why entrepreneurship still is not the most preferred career option. If you ask any youth today who is likely to make a career choice, that what career you are likely to choose, what are you going to do after your course is over, formal education is over, entrepreneurship will not be the first choice. So we wanted to know the reason that why people are shying away from entrepreneurship. While we had certain assumptions, but when we started looking at the literature, we couldn't find any systematic study on that. And this was part of the total barriers which entrepreneurs face. In fact, there are 3 different kinds of barriers. One is the entry barrier, which inhibits people's movement into entrepreneurial career. What could be the reason that people don't want to become entrepreneur? Second is growth barrier, that when you become entrepreneur, what are the factors that affect your growth as an entrepreneur? And that is related with the statutory regulations, policies, incentives, the ecosystem for entrepreneurs. And the third is that because of whatsoever may be the reason, if an entrepreneur wants to close down or wants to wind up the business for better opportunity or for some other reasons, then what kind of barriers he or she faces, that is known as exit barriers. Out of all these 3 barriers, the entry barrier is very, very important because it is directly related with the movement of today's youth into entrepreneurship. So we're more interested in looking at the entry barrier, that why, and we wanted to isolate factors which restrict people's movement into entrepreneurship. So when we studied, this was a national study, major study. It was in 4 states, supposed to be 2 entrepreneurial better states like Karnataka and Gujarat, and 2 little lesser entrepreneurial or industrially little lesser developed like UP and Odisha, representing 4 zones of the country. And we, interestingly, we studied 974 final year graduates. Final year graduate means those who are in the BA final, BSc final, or MBA final, or engineering final. So those who were about to make their career choices immediately after the career was over. Also, we wanted to know that since students were not necessarily they were having experience, most of these students were without experience. So we wanted to have a comparable group with experience, and that is how young employees having 2 to 5 years of experience, both in the government sector, private sector, or also in cooperative or joint sector, they were chosen. So total 1,625, that was the sample size, huge sample size. And specifically the research investigators were trained to interview these candidates. To cut the long story short, we wanted to know that how many of them, they had career plan related with entrepreneurship. And surprisingly, you would be surprised to know that from amongst students group, it was about 9.8% or so. 9.8% students, they were interested in entrepreneurship, and about 26%, over 26% from amongst those who were having experience, those were employees. So overall, it was 19.2%. Overall, 19.2% students, they were respondents, they were interested in entrepreneurial career. An entrepreneurial career means doing something related with entrepreneurship, either starting your own business or opening a consultancy, becoming freelance or becoming a self-employed, or if they had any family business, then joining that family business. Rest all, about 81%, 80.8%, rest all, they had career plans other than business, other than entrepreneurship. So we were more interested in those about 81% of the respondents that what keeps you away from entrepreneurial plans, entrepreneurial careers. And we came across certain very interesting observations. The first and foremost was something related to the attitudinal, that not interested in entrepreneurship. About 37% of them, they said that we are not interested in entrepreneurship. We are happy wherever we are. We also measured their psychometric profile through an instrument, and we came to know that a very, very critical factor, personality factor, which is known as need for motivation, need for achievement motivation, and that was lacking. So this was one entry barrier. And the second group was, they said that yes, we are interested, but probably we'll have to wait for some more time. And when we went deeper into them, why would you like to wait for some more time? The response was that we want to mobilize necessary resources, we want to develop contact, save money, kind of thing. Third group said that we are not confident about business. We are not confident that we will be able to succeed, and not confident because we didn't have any idea. We don't know any idea. We don't have any idea about whom to contact for what are the procedures and formalities, how to develop your business plan, whom to contact for what, how many departments, how many registrations, how many permissions that you will have to obtain. And because of them, they were not feeling confident about it. There was another small group, which very, very important group. What they said that we are interested into entrepreneurship, but our parents or major decision makers in the family, they are not supportive of our ideas. They are not supportive either because we have some failures in the family, earlier some failures, or we do not belong to a business community, or there are family compulsions on me to earn money through job employment immediately. So these are the four entry barriers: attitudinal, desire to wait for some more time, lack of confidence, and disapproval of major decision makers in the family. We also separately, we interacted with those who were planning entrepreneurial careers, and their requirement was, other than finance, they said that we would like our parents to support us. And that's the encouragement by family. But when we asked these people that, suppose the most important finding was that when we asked that, suppose some of your apprehensions, those who are not planning entrepreneurship, suppose some of your apprehensions are taken care of, can you consider your career plan in favor of business? Can you reconsider? And heartening to note was that 58% of this 81%, initially those who had said that no, out of that, about 58%, they said that yes, we are willing to reconsider, provided three things are provided to us, or three things are taken care of. Number one, business idea or the project idea. Number two, finance. Sorry, first was finance. Number two was business idea. And third was training for business and the management. And that is the total. Any policy, we give our recommendations. A lot of suggestions were given based on which ministry and the government of India decided to open EBDCs on campuses, entrepreneurship and business development centers. That is a different story. We also focused on the faculty development program, capacity building, case studies, resource material, providing fellowships for those who had interesting business ideas. But here, what we mentioned that any policy to support entrepreneurship should take care of these entry barriers. And that is what I would like to highlight here also, that on campuses, when there are opportunities, a lot of institutions are getting into entrepreneurship, we need to understand that how can we develop that attitude or attitudinally, how can we prepare students? How can we inculcate entrepreneurial values or build that entrepreneurial acumen among students? Because entrepreneurship is not just a career vocation. Entrepreneurship is more of a mindset. It's a state of mind. If you are entrepreneurial, skill can be developed. That is not a problem. Developing a skill doesn't take much time, but developing that entrepreneurial fervor, entrepreneurial acumen, that is very, very critical. And for that, any entrepreneurship policy should look into the methodology or the pedagogy that we have. That what kind of, because entrepreneurship is a different subject. It cannot be taught on campuses like history, geography, or any other subject. Here, it's experiential learning. So there are pedagogical tools available, which we have been doing, and we have been encouraging others also, like simulation exercises are there, live projects are there, behavioral tools are there, psychometric instruments are there, other than interaction to small scale enterprise where people can see the process of creation, process of management, they interact with entrepreneur and feel energized. That is very, very important for the student. Also, a lot of initiatives are there in different sectors. So I would suggest that any policy which is there, which should take care of the information about certain sunrise sectors or the what kind of business models can be developed, or business models can be given to the students, and they can be helped from different industry verticals or different industry sectors. One pedagogical tool that we have tried here and which is being used in several of good institutions outside the country, that is milestone-based learning. Our earlier observation at EDI, because we ran our postgraduate program, we have been running since 1998. And we found that there were students, even after graduating from the campus, they were not immediately starting their business. So when we asked them, we found that yes, some of them, they said that we want to gain some experience. And that is how we incorporated this milestone-based learning. That all those entrepreneurial milestones, which a student is likely to master or likely to learn is required to learn after the course is over, how can we incorporate this within the course itself? Like how to prepare your partnership document, partnership deed, how to enter, how to apply for patent, how to take patent, how to develop prototype, all those things, even how to open a current bank account. That is also very important. Applying for PAN, applying for TAN, all these things are very, very important. So these things are there. And capacity building, I would say that 3 things if we can teach our students. 3 things, just there are number of critical skills important, but 3 things I would like to highlight. One is proactiveness. How can they be proactive? Any policy that we have, it should take care of the proactiveness. Second, it should take care of making them innovative. If they can think of doing something different or different applications, and the third is the risk taking. So these 3 things are important. So for capacity building and preparing the students for entrepreneurship is concerned, so that they identify opportunities, convert them into viable business models, implement it, and when they have innovation, then when they have proactiveness, when they have risk taking, the kind of enterprises they create, that will be viable, sustainable with newer product, newer services. So that is very, very important. I would say at the end that there are 2 kinds of risk which entrepreneurs should understand, or our students should understand. One is sinking the boat risk. Suppose I want to launch a product, and if I have taken risk, I have launched that product, and unfortunately my product has failed. So my money is sunk. I have lost my money. So this is sinking the boat risk. Other situation is that I wanted to launch that product, but because I spent too much time in doing a market survey, consulting experts, analyzing results, reflecting, thinking, and in the meantime, someone else came and launched that product, which became eventually a success. So I have missed that opportunity. I have missed that bus. I have missed that boat. This is a sinking the boat risk. And for entrepreneurs, sinking the boat risk, certainly, it affects their balance sheet in the first year. They would have lost money, but missing the boat risk is much, much more critical and more dangerous in the long term. So something that you want to do it on time, do with full preparation, and without much preparation, with half-hearted preparation, if you do it, you will eventually become a training and learning ground for your competitors, for others. So don't allow that to happen. Do it with full preparation. That is what it should look into it. And if we take care of the entrepreneurship, teaching, training, capacity building, obviously the faculty development program will be important. So role of faculty development programs, role of teachers. Gujarat government has recently a very, very laudable initiative. Hiranmay Mahanta was involved in it. And they have got their about 500 teachers trained into entrepreneurship for startup initiatives, for business models, for business plans, and several other initiatives. There are several other government that they are doing. So faculty development program, local case study development, material development, and unless and until we make it a mass movement, no initiative will be successful. So I would like to stop here with this, that the policy, startup policy or student policy on campus should take care of the capacity building of the students, the pedagogy part, the faculty development, resource material, and overall strengthening entrepreneurship within the campus, because entrepreneurship cannot succeed, cannot germinate and grow in isolation. So there has to be an ecosystem. The institutions will have to eventually become entrepreneurial universities or entrepreneurial institutions, then only it will succeed. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Pranjal ji is still having same issue. Thank you, sir, for joining with us and for your remarks on the topic. Now with us we have Hiranmay sir with us. Hiranmay sir is the CEO of iHub Gujarat from the Ministry of Government of Education. Sir, we welcome you, sir, and the platform is all yours for your remarks.
थैंक यू थिंक इंडिया टीम, प्रोफेसर शुक्ला वो हमारे इकोसिस्टम के गुरु हैं, मिस्टर श्रीनिवास and dear colleagues and all young students, innovators, those of you who are listening to us on this Webex platform and also Facebook Live. I think पहली बात तो मैं थिंक इंडिया को साधुवाद देना चाहता हूँ, जो कोशिश आप लोगों ने, प्रतीक जी और बाकी लोगों ने किए कि एक राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे एक मंच बनाया और कुछ बिंदुओं पे अपनी चर्चा चालू करी कि इनोवेशंस की, नवाचार की, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की पृष्ठभूमि क्या होना चाहिए, रूपरेख क्या होना चाहिए और उसकी पद्धति क्या होना चाहिए, ताकि भारत में आत्मनिर्भर की जो कंटेक्स्ट है, स्किल इंडिया की जो कंटेक्स्ट है, उसको प्रॉपरली लिवरेज करते हुए हम कुछ वैल्यू क्रिएट कर पाए। और थिंक इंडिया के साथ मैं कई सालों से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ और मैं क्लोजली देखता हूँ कि आप लोग जो राष्ट्रीय अनुसंस्थान हैं और जितने भी NIT, IIT, आइशर, नेशनल लॉ यूनिवर्सिटी के विद्यार्थी आप लोग जुड़े हुए हैं प्लेटफॉर्म पे, आप लोगों को, आप जैसे बहुत कम लोग होते हैं जिनको इतने साधन वाला इंस्टीट्यूशन मिलता है इस देश में, क्योंकि नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट सिर्फ 5-6% होते हैं हायर एजुकेशन का। तो जब आप इतने प्रिविलेज क्लास में हैं तो डेफिनेटली आपकी जो रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है वो भी काफी बढ़ जाता है। कहीं ना कहीं आप लोग राष्ट्र के सबसे बेहतरीन इंस्टीट्यूशन में पढ़ रहे हैं तो आपके प्रति जो समाज की जो दायित्व है वो भी बढ़ जाता है। तो कहीं ना कहीं उस दायित्व को निभाने का एक तरीका, जरिया इनोवेशन एंड एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप है। उसकी पृष्ठभूमि में मैं कुछ बातें पहले बताऊंगा और फिर बताऊंगा कि हम लोग किस तरीके से कोशिश कर रहे हैं के माध्यम से इस मुहिम को आगे लेने के लिए। 3 मेजर चीजें हुई है पिछले 20 साल में युवाओं के माइंडसेट में, और उसको मैं 3 शब्दों में अगर आपको मैं बताऊं तो पहला शब्द है एस्पिरेशन। कि लोगों में, आप जैसे विद्यार्थी जो आज 20-21 साल की उम्र में कोई ना कोई यूनिवर्सिटी में बैठे हुए हैं, उनके लेवल में बहुत फर्क पड़ा है। पिछले 20 साल में लोग किसी एक बड़ी कंपनी की CEO बनने से बेहतर खुद की आइडियाज को आगे लेने, कुछ खुद की आइडियाज के इर्द गिर्द अपने जीवन की गति को आगे लेने में पसंद करने लगे हैं, और उसकी भी बहुत सारी वजह है। और वो इसीलिए हुआ है, अगर आप देखेंगे 2004 की मसीहा में भारत में करीब 160 कंपनी, 160 कंपनीज की रिसर्च एंड इनोवेशन सेंटर हुआ करता था। और 2014 में 1100 मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज की रिसर्च एंड इनोवेशन सेंटर है, बैंगलोर, हैदराबाद, एनसीआर को अगर मिलाया जाए तो। उसका वजह ये नहीं है कि कंपनियां ऐसे ही आ रहे हैं भारतवर्ष में, कंपनियां इसलिए भारतवर्ष में इनोवेशन के लिए आ रहे हैं क्योंकि भारत में जो पर डॉलर इन्वेस्टमेंट की जो आउटकम है, जो इंटेलेक्ट है, वो बाकी इकोनॉमी से काफी ज्यादा मजबूत है। इसका मतलब एक सरल भाषा में कहूं, 2004 में जनरल इलेक्ट्रिक्स जो एक बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है, उसका इंडियन रिसर्च सेंटर में जो इंडियन साइंटिस्ट काम करते थे, उनका अमेरिकन पैटेंट ऑफिस में कंट्रीब्यूशन था 4%, और 2018 में वो हिस्सा बढ़ के हो गया 22%। इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि भारत में आप जैसे अनुष्ठान से पढ़े हुए विद्यार्थियों की जो बौद्धिक संपदा है वो हाई क्वालिटी है, एक्चुअली हाईएस्ट क्वालिटी है। अब आप लोग ग्लोबल मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज की इनोवेशन बैंक बोलो या आईपी बैंक बोलो या पैटेंट्स बोलो या टेक्नोलॉजी कमर्शियलाइजेशन बोलो, उसमें जोरदार कंट्रीब्यूशन कर रहे हैं। तो वहां पे कुछ लोग ये सोचने चलो कि अगर हम अपनी बुद्धि से दूसरे देशों की मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज की बैलेंस शीट बढ़ा रहे हैं, उनकी स्टॉक वैल्यू बढ़ा रहे हैं, उनकी आईपीओ बड़े बड़े लाने में मदद कर रहे हैं, तो क्या हम अपने लिए नहीं कर सकते हैं? और वहां पहली बार जो एस्पिरेशन की मैंने बात कहा, उसमें बदलाव हुई और यंग लोग ये सोचने चालू किए कि भाई हम अपने लिए क्यों ना करें, अपने देश की चीजों के लिए क्यों ना करें। तो दैट वाज द टिपिंग पॉइंट जो एस्पिरेशनल चेंजेस हुई। दूसरी चीज, जब एस्पिरेशन बदलता है, एस्पिरेशन को हकीकत में लेने के लिए एबिलिटी की जरूरत है, क्षमताओं की जरूरत है। एंड नाउ एबिलिटी कहां से आती है? एबिलिटी स्किल से आती है। तो जितनी भी संस्थाएं हैं, जो लोग स्किल पे फोकस किए, जिन्होंने हैंड्स ऑन स्किल्स की फोकस किए, जिन्होंने प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग की फोकस की, उनकी विद्यार्थी जिनके पास एस्पिरेशन था और एबिलिटी था, वो इन तीनों को जोड़ के कुछ बनाना चालू कर दिया। और तीसरी इंपॉर्टेंट बात जो बदला युवाओं के बीच में वो है एटीट्यूड। जैसे कि मैं आपको एक छोटे से उदाहरण देता हूँ। आईआईटी दिल्ली में प्रोफेसर पीवीएम राव कहते हैं कि आज की तारीख में भी 150 से ज्यादा स्टूडेंट वेंचर्स काम कर रहे हैं इलीगली व्हाटएवर टर्मिनोलॉजी यूज है। तो मैंने पूछा कैसे आप इनको रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं करते हैं? तो उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस में कई बार एक रहता है इनर्शिया कि हम सोचते हैं कि विद्यार्थी पढ़ने के लिए आए हैं, यहाँ बिजनेस करने के लिए थोड़ी आए हैं। वाई शुड एनकरेज देम? देयर आर सम अथॉरिटीज हु थिंक सो, बट जब उनको पता चला कि इंडिया की 30 यूनिकॉर्न कंपनी में से 8 यूनिकॉर्न स्टार्टअप कंपनीज उन्हीं आईआईटी से, उन्हीं बच्चों में से निकला है जो हॉस्टल में लुचे छुपे अपने आइडियाज को बिजनेस वेंचर में कन्वर्ट करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, तो कहीं ना कहीं ये समझ में आया कि दिस इज अ रिवॉल्यूशन व्हिच इज अनरिकॉग्नाइज्ड बट मस्ट वांटेड। तो पहली बार जब मैं इस में विद्यार्थी था और हम लोग स्टार्टअप करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, हमारे लिए सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये था कि हम रजिस्टर कहाँ गए, आता पता तो नहीं है। हम राष्ट्रीय इंस्टीट्यूशन में पूरे देश से बच्चे आते हैं, हॉस्टल के एड्रेस में कोई आपको कंपनी बनाने के लिए देगा नहीं। यू नो व्हाट इनोवेशन वी डिड? हमने अपने वार्डन्स को बोला कि सर ये जो टीवी रूम वगैरह आपने बना रखे वो यूज तो नहीं है, पता लगा दीजिए कि सो एंड सो इनोवेटर, और उसकी पता में हम कंपनी बना लेते हैं। एंड दैट टाइम आवर चीफ हॉस्टल वार्डन वाज काइंड एनफ, उन्होंने टीवी रूम, टीटी रूम, ऑल दिस स्पोर्ट्स कॉम्प्लेक्स इनोवेटर्स के लिए खोल दिए, बोले आप लोग करो जो करना चाहते हो। दैट्स हाउ वी स्टार्टेड स्टूडेंट वेंचर्स इन द कॉलेज। बट कहने का मतलब ये है, कहीं ना कहीं कंपैशनेट लीडरशिप की बहुत जरूरत है, इंस्टीट्यूशन लेवल पे, इकोसिस्टम लेवल पे, पॉलिसी लेवल पे और सपोर्ट सिस्टम्स की लेवल पे। तो ये जो 3 चीज मैंने कहा, एस्पिरेशन बदल रहा है, एबिलिटी डेवलप हो रही है, स्किल डेवलप हो रहा है, और एटीट्यूड में बदलाव हो रहा है। एटीट्यूड में बदलाव इसलिए आ रहा है क्योंकि द बेस्ट माइंड्स आर नो मोर रेडी टू वर्क फॉर ओनली बेस्ट कंपनीज, दे आर रेडी टू चैलेंज द बेस्ट कंपनीज। अगर मैं सरल भाषा में इसको कहूं, पिछले 20 साल में एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को धंधा से ज्यादा पंगा की माइंडसेट में देखा जाता है। सो हाउ डू आई से इट, अ पंगा माइंडसेट? So initially, entrepreneurship used to be a dhanda or a trading mindset or a commodity mindset. These days, entrepreneurs are taking a complete different approach, and particularly the young entrepreneurs. So, for example, when Bhavish Agrawal started Ola, he never thought कि मेरे पास तो गाड़ी नहीं है, ड्राइवर नहीं है, मैं कहाँ से करूँगा। जब ओयो रितेश अग्रवाल ने ओयो रूम चालू किए तो उन्होंने ये सोचा कि मेरा तो एक भी होटल खुद का नहीं है, मैं कैसे इतना बड़ा सिस्टम बना सकता हूँ। तो ये बदल रहा है, लोग सोच रहे हैं कि एसेट लाइट बिजनेस मॉडल में क्या इनोवेशन हो सकता है। और ये लोग कौन हैं? ये यंग लोग हैं जो 20 से 30 साल की उम्र के विद्यार्थी हैं, अलुमनी हैं, अलग अलग यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रहे हैं। उन्होंने अपने सोच को आगे लेने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। जब हमने ये चीज देखा गुजरात गवर्नमेंट में, तो 2010 से 2015 का बीच में हमने कुछ एक्सपेरिमेंट्स की। हमने विद्यार्थियों को पूछा कि आपको क्या चाहिए। तो एक सबसे बड़ी मीथ हमारे दिमाग में था कि शायद एंटरप्रेन्योर बनने के लिए इनको पैसे की जरूरत होगी। पहले पता चला पैसा तो बहुत बाद में आता है, सबसे पहले आता है विश्वास। कोई इन यंग लोगों को विश्वास करे, इनकी सपने पे कोई विश्वास करे कि हाँ नहीं ये भी कर सकते हैं। तो हमने कहा ये विश्वास को कैसे बढ़ाया जाए। तो हमने ऑनरेबल शिक्षा मंत्री जी, ऑनरेबल शिक्षा सचिव और जितने भी सीनियर पॉलिसी मेकर्स हैं स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स में, हर हफ्ते हमने ऐसे विद्यार्थी, ऐसे इनोवेटर्स, ऐसे स्टूडेंट स्टार्टअप के साथ चाय पे चर्चा चालू किया। उनके साथ बैठे, उनके साथ चर्चा किया, समझने की कोशिश की कि क्या साधन की जरूरत है। तो सबसे पहले कुछ बच्चों ने कहा कि सर हम जब स्टूडेंट टाइम में वेंचर बनाते हैं तो हमारे तो अटेंडेंस की प्रॉब्लम होती है, बिकॉज समटाइम हम बिजनेस मीटिंग्स करते हैं, अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स हैपन। तो गुजरात पहला राज्य बना जहां पे हमने एक पॉलिसी लेकर आए। हमने कहा आपको 50% अटेंडेंस भी छूट दी जाएगी अगर आप प्रूव करोगे कि आपके आइडिया का प्रोटोटाइप बना सकते। फिर उसके बाद हमने कहा चलो अब आपको छूट मिली कि आप अपने सीख सकते हो। फिर बच्चों ने कहा कि साहब अब जो है आप थोड़ा सा साधन दीजिए, थोड़ी सी जोखिम राशि दीजिए, रिस्क फंड दीजिए। तो हमने एक पॉलिसी बनाया जिसमें 1000 विद्यार्थियों को या 1000 टीम्स को हर साल 2 लाख रुपया डायरेक्टली अपफ्रंट आइडिया के लिए ग्रांट देते हैं। काइंड ऑफ स्प्रे एंड प्रे हम लोग देते हैं और भूल जाते हैं, कभी कोई रिटर्न की एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं होता है। हम सिर्फ वो 1000 टीम्स को 2 लाख रुपए देते हैं ताकि अपने आइडियाज को टेबल पे ले पाए, आइडियाज को आगे बना सके। और फिर अगर वो 2 लाख रुपए लेने के बाद 6-8 महीना में वो टीम्स कोई भी इंस्टीट्यूशन से कुछ आइडिया बना के लेके आते हैं, हम उनको फर्दर 30 लाख तक सपोर्ट करते हैं। और ऑल दी मनी इज फ्री मनी बाय द वे। आप सोचोगे इतना बड़ा दिल क्यों? दिल इतने बड़ा इसीलिए है क्योंकि हमें पता है अगर हम 1000 बच्चों को 2 लाख रुपए भी देते हैं तो हमारे 20 करोड़ रुपया सरकार की ट्रेजरी से जाती है। लेकिन मैं आपको बताने के लिए खुशी होती है कि हमने सबसे पहले 70 लाख रुपए दिए थे करीब 200 आइडियाज को, और आज 5 साल बाद वो 70 स्टूडेंट वेंचर्स जो अलग अलग कॉलेज से निकले थे, उनकी क्यूमुलेटिव रेवेन्यू 300 करोड़ से ज्यादा है। और वो 300 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू करते हैं तो रिजर्व बैंक को टैक्स मिलता है, भारत को टैक्स मिलता है, डायरेक्ट इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स मिलता है। तो अगर आप देखोगे हमने जो विश्वास की माध्यम से इन बच्चों को जो जोखिम राशि दिए पॉलिसी के माध्यम से, वो 10 गुना 20 गुना रिटर्न आता है भारतीय रिजर्व बैंक को और बाकी फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम्स को। तो इसीलिए हमने डिसाइड किया कि हर साल 1000 टीम को सपोर्ट करेंगे। आप बोलोगे 1000 में से कितने सक्सेसफुल होते हैं? जरूरी नहीं है कि मोर देन 50% सक्सेसफुल हो, लेकिन एक चीज जरूर होता है, जो आदमी एक बार खून चाट लेता है और दोबारा खून की प्यासा होता है, राइट? तो जो विद्यार्थी की टीम 2 साल 3 साल एक आइडिया के पीछे भागता है, अगर वो फेल भी होता है तो फिर से वापस आता है, बोलता है सर अब मुझे और कुछ साधन दीजिए, अब मैं नया एरिया पे काम करूंगा। तो हम उनको भी सपोर्ट करते हैं। हमने पॉलिसी में ये चीज क्लियर रखा है और इसमें थिंक इंडिया की भी काफी बड़ा योगदान रहा है। थिंक इंडिया के जो मेंटर्स हैं उन्होंने भी इस पॉलिसी को सेव करने में मदद करी थी। हम लोग कोई भी विद्यार्थी या किसी भी यूनिवर्सिटी से पढ़े लिखे स्टूडेंट पिछले 5 साल में उनको सपोर्ट करते हैं इस पॉलिसी के माध्यम से। उनकी पैटेंट फाइलिंग का पूरा खर्चा सपोर्ट करते हैं। 1 लाख रुपया अपफ्रंट देते हैं उनकी पैटेंट्स को अमेरिकन पैटेंट ऑफिस में, ग्लोबल पैटेंट ऑफिस में, यूरोपियन पैटेंट ऑफिस में कहीं भी फाइल करने के लिए उनको देते हैं। और सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग बात है, ये जो मैंने आपको 200-250 स्टूडेंट वेंचर बात कहा, उन लोगों ने मिलकर क्यूमुलेटिवली 5000 से ज्यादा जॉब्स क्रिएट किए। कब? जब उनको खुद को जॉब लेने की उम्र था तो उन्होंने समवयस्क की अपने कलीग लोगों के लिए उन्होंने जॉब क्रिएट किया। मतलब अगर आप कोई विद्यार्थी हैं, आप अपने प्लेसमेंट सेल में भिक्षांदेही बोल के ना जा रहे हैं, साथ ही साथ आप अपने कुछ कलीग्स को अपने कंपनियों में रिक्रूटमेंट के लिए अपने प्लेसमेंट ऑफिस के जरिए में ले रहे हैं। तो ये एक बदलाव है, ये सिर्फ सोच की बदलाव नहीं है, ये परिणाम की बदलाव है और ये एक सामाजिक बदलाव है। और इसको हमने करीब 80 यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर में एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए हैं, उसमें राष्ट्रीय स्तर की भी हैं, IIT IIMs भी हैं और बाकी सारे लोगों को भी हमने इसमें जोड़ा। तो ये जो प्रयास हमने किया, इससे 2 चीज बहुत सामने आई। पहली चीज कि जो युवा हैं वो यूजलेस नहीं है, वो यूजलेस है। मतलब उन्हें कभी किसी ने उनकी मगज की, उनकी मौलिक संपदा की, उनकी बौद्धिक संपदा की किसी ने सफल इस्तेमाल नहीं किया, उन्हें कोई मंच नहीं मिला। तो हमने कहा कि उनको एक मंच देंगे। हर एक यूनिवर्सिटी में हमने कहा हॉल ऑफ फेम बनाओ अपने यंग इनोवेटर्स का और स्टार्टअप्स का। जैसे वाइस चांसलर और डायरेक्टर का लिस्ट रहता है, कौन से साल में कौन अधिकारी यूनिवर्सिटी में लीडर बने हैं, ऐसे हमने उनकी पूरी हॉल ऑफ फेम बनाया हर एक यूनिवर्सिटी में, ताकि इनोवेटर्स को, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को और स्टूडेंट वेंचर्स को एक दर्जा पे, एक समानता के लेवल पर देखा जाए, ताकि जो लोग एकेडमिक में सक्सेसफुल होते हैं और जो लोग जीवन की पृष्ठभूमि में सफलता होते हैं रिस्क लेने के बाद, उनको भी एक समान दर्जा मिलना चाहिए। और इसको हमने एक कदम आगे ले लिया इस पॉलिसी के माध्यम से। हर यूनिवर्सिटी अपने एनुअल कन्वोकेशन में स्टार्टअप्स के लिए सेटअप किया। पिछले साल से हमने ये सेटअप किया। पहला राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे गोल्ड मेडल ऑनरेबल होम मिनिस्टर अमित शाह जी ने पिछले साल एक 20 साल की बच्चा को दिया इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज से, जिसने अपने कॉलेज में ग्रेजुएशन से पहले 6 लोगों को, अपने साथियों को जॉब दिया और रेवेन्यू पॉजिटिव कंपनी बनाया। तो पहली बार उसकी सीजीपीए करीब लगभग 6, 6.5 के आसपास होगा 10 की स्केल में। तो आपकी अगर सामाजिक चलित के हिसाब से देखें तो हम तो सिर्फ टॉपर्स को सैल्यूट करते थे पहले एकेडमिक लेवल पे, लेकिन हमने वो पृष्ठभूमि को बदला। हमने कहा जीवन की रंगभूमि में, जीवन की पृष्ठभूमि में जो टॉपर्स हैं थ्रू एक्टिविटीज ऑफ इनोवेशन और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, उनको भी रिकॉग्निशन मिलना चाहिए। तो हमने हर एक यूनिवर्सिटीज में ये इंस्ट्रक्शन पास ऑन किए कि आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी में रिसर्च और एकेडमिक स्कॉलर्स के साथ साथ इनोवेशन और स्टार्टअप्स के जो स्कॉलर्स हैं उनको भी आप एक्नॉलेज करिए। हमने डॉक्टर कलाम की बर्थडे 15 अक्टूबर के दिन को स्टूडेंट स्टार्टअप दिन के हिसाब से घोषित किया और हर एक यूनिवर्सिटी को बोला, हर एक कॉलेजेस को बोला कि आप लोग उस दिन जो विद्यार्थियों में जो क्रिएटिविटी इनोवेशन है उसको आगे लाने के लिए प्रयास करें, और इससे बहुत फर्क पड़ा। उसके साथ साथ एक और भी काम करी, और ये काम ये था कि जब कोई इनोवेटर कोई नया बनाता है, जब कोई इनोवेटर कुछ नया सोचता है, जब वो प्रोडक्ट बनाता है, उसकी सोल्यूशंस को खरीदारी करने के लिए इस देश में कोई पॉलिसी नहीं है। तो वो जो है वो बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियों के साथ कम्पीट करता है टेंडर प्रोसेस में और बाकी जगह में। तो कहीं ना कहीं एक छोटा विद्यार्थी स्मॉल एज में अगर वो एंटरप्रेन्योर बनता है तो ही हैज टू कम्पीट अगेंस्ट ऑल द बिग कंपनीज इन द टेंडर। तो हमने कहा नहीं, और इसमें केरला गवर्नमेंट ने सबसे बड़ी रोल अदा करी। उन्होंने एक पॉलिसी बनाया कि अगर किसी यूनिवर्सिटी या इनोवेशन सेंटर लिख के दे कि ये विद्यार्थी की नवसर्जनता में, इसकी जो इनोवेशन में मौलिक बौद्धिकता है, तो हम 1 करोड़ तो बिना टेंडर में उसकी प्रोडक्ट को खरीदेंगे सरकार में। पिछले साल 118 ऐसे स्टूडेंट स्टार्टअप से गवर्नमेंट ने सीधी बात करी और सीधी प्रोक्योरमेंट किया। इससे बहुत फर्क पड़ता है। और अंतिम में इस चीज को अगर आगे ले जाएं तो एक चीज दिखता है। अगर आपको मैं एक सिंपल डाटा बताऊं, और ये हैरान होती है कई बार हमें सुनते हुए कि एमआईटी बोस्टन की जो अलुमनी की इंपैक्ट है उसके ऊपर एक रिपोर्ट रिसेंटली कॉपमैन फाउंडेशन ने बनाया है। वो ये कहता है कि टोटल जो एमआईटी की अलुमनी है उसमें से 25% लोगों ने कभी ना कभी कोई स्टार्टअप बनाया है, कभी ना कभी कोई एंटरप्राइज बनाया है, और 40% अलुमनी सीरियल एंटरप्रेन्योर बने हैं, मतलब जीवन में मोर देन 1 एंटरप्राइज बनाया है। तो अगर आप अपने जीवन में मोर देन 1 एंटरप्राइज बनाना चाहते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं शुरुआत जल्दी करनी होगी। तो जल्दी का मतलब आप जब इंस्टीट्यूशंस में है, कॉलेजेस में है या कॉलेज से निकल के जा रहे हैं, ये टाइम सफल टाइम है। इस टाइम पे आप जो रिस्क लगाएंगे उसका रिवार्ड एक इन्वेस्टमेंट की तरफ होता है। इवन इफ यू फेल, हम लोगों ने सरकार के माध्यम से ग्लोरियस फेल्यूर्स गोल्ड मेडल भी सेटअप किया। जो लोग अच्छे कोशिश करके भी सक्षम नहीं हो पाते हैं उनकी भी वैल्यू है। फेल्यूर का टाबू को हटाने के लिए हमने उनको भी रिकॉग्निशन किया, उनके पेरेंट्स को रिकॉग्निशन किया, उनको सर्टिफिकेट दिए, बोले कि भाई अगर आप नहीं होते तो आपकी विद्यार्थी, आपकी बच्चा कभी ऐसा रिस्क नहीं लेता। तो इससे एक सोशल स्ट्रक्चर में बदलाव होने की चालू हुई। और मैं एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात बताऊं, 2010 के बाद से जो एमआईटी के अलुमनी निकले हैं उनमें से 11% लोग ऑलरेडी स्टार्टअप कर चुके हैं। लेकिन 2010 के बाद अगर भारत की आईआईटीज, एनआईटीज, आईआईएम्स और बाकी सब इंस्टीट्यूशंस की डाटा देखेंगे तो कहीं ना कहीं वो फिगर हम ग्लोबल एवरेज से थोड़ा कम है। हालांकि 2010 के बाद डेफिनेटली सिचुएशन भारत में भी बदला है, लेकिन इससे एक चीज बहुत समझ में आता है कि मिनिमम 10% लोग जो अच्छे टैलेंटेड इंस्टीट्यूशन से निकलते हैं वो ये सोच रहे हैं कि उनका सपना किस तरीके से हम आगे खुद की पृष्ठभूमि में बनाएं, खुद किस तरीके से आगे ले जाएं और राष्ट्रीय संपदा में जोड़ें। तो ये भी एक पहल है। तो हम लोगों ने जो एक्सपेरिमेंट्स हमने इनोवेटर के साथ किए, जो स्टूडेंट वेंचर से सीखे, उसको सबसे पहले हमने गुजरात टेक्नोलॉजिकल यूनिवर्सिटी में जहां 500 कॉलेजेस हैं वहां इसको 5 साल तक एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किया। देश का पहला स्टूडेंट स्टार्टअप पॉलिसी बनाया जिसमें ये सब छूट दी गई, उनको ग्लोबल एक्सपोजर के लिए भेजा गया, अलग अलग इकोसिस्टम्स को भेजा गया, इजराइल, जापान, ऑल द इकोसिस्टम्स को भेजा गया, फिर वो देख के आए। गुजरात सरकार ने एक राज्य एक पॉलिसी बनाया, स्टूडेंट स्टार्टअप एंड इनोवेशन पॉलिसी, जिसमें हम 200 करोड़ रुपया इन विद्यार्थियों के आइडियाज पे देते हैं। और ये पैसा इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं है, ये सिर्फ ग्रांट है। इसको लेके आप कुछ भी करिए और आगे जाके अगर आपकी कंपनी बड़ी होती है तो उसमें हम गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से एडिशनल भी देते हैं। पहली बार विद्यार्थियों के लिए कोई पॉलिसी राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर इस चीज को आगे लेके गए। और रिसेंटली एमएचआरडी ने इस पॉलिसी को पूरे देश में सब आईआईटी एंड आईटी तक फैलाया। तो आप कह सकते हैं कि ये जो 10 साल 2010 से 20 साल रहा, 20 तक रहा, ये भारतीय स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम में एक अहम रोल रहा। और इसमें विद्यार्थी, इनोवेटर्स, उनकी पेरेंट्स और आप जैसे लोग, एनेबलर्स की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है। और थिंक इंडिया को मैं साधुवाद देना चाहता हूं कि थिंक इंडिया के प्लेटफॉर्म के माध्यम से हम लोगों ने जो ये पूरी कोशिश कर रहे हैं, ये कहीं ना कहीं हर एक कोने तक पहुंचा सकते हैं। और पॉलिसी जो है वो इनोवेटर्स के करीब होनी चाहिए। जिनके लिए पॉलिसी बना रहे हैं उनकी बात सुननी चाहिए, उनसे समझना चाहिए। हम अभी भी हर रोज हमारी सीनियर लीडरशिप जो है गवर्नमेंट में ऐसे विद्यार्थी इनोवेटर के साथ बैठता है, उनसे समझता है कि क्या चैलेंजेस हैं, कैसे सिस्टम बदलनी चाहिए, कैसे पॉलिसी बदलना चाहिए। और फिर लीन अजाइल तरीके से, जैसे अगर हम चाह रहे हैं कि आप जैसे लोग रिस्क लो तो हमें भी रिस्क लेना होगा एज ए गवर्नमेंट, एज ए अथॉरिटी। तो हम भी एक एंटरप्रेन्योर के हिसाब से विद इन द गवर्नमेंट कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से सामूहिक तरीके से स्टूडेंट नेचर को आगे ले पाएंगे। बात तो यहाँ पे आके रहती है, अगर स्टैनफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी की अलुमनी और एमआईटी के अलुमनी की अगर कंपनी जो स्टार्टअप्स हैं उनको जोड़ के एक इकोनॉमी बनाया जाए तो दुनिया की 7वां सबसे बड़ा इकोनॉमी हो सकता है। आप सोचिए, 2 यूनिवर्सिटी के अलुमनी की स्टार्टअप कंपनीज की नेट मार्केट कैपिटल दुनिया की 7वीं सबसे बड़ी इकोनॉमी के बराबर है। तो क्या हम भारतवर्ष में ऐसा ही एक सपना देख सकते हैं कि हमारे इतने सारे राष्ट्रीय संस्थान हैं, इतने से 50 लाख से ज्यादा विद्यार्थी हैं, 4 मिलियन से ज्यादा फैकल्टीज हैं एंड 10,000 से ज्यादा इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं। अगर हम एक विधिवत तरीके से कोशिश करेंगे और थिंक इंडिया ने जिस विचार की आज शुरुआत किया है, प्रदीप जी और बाकी लोगों ने जो कोशिश किए हैं, इसको अगर हम आगे ले जाएं और हम सब लोग मिलकर थोड़े थोड़े कोशिश करें, 2020 से 2030 का जो दशंधि है उसमें कहीं ना कहीं हम एक नए भारत, एक नए सपने की तरफ जाएंगे। और आप सबकी रोल इसमें अहम रहेगा। और डेफिनेटली आज के दिन को हम याद करेंगे। ये जो चर्चा हम कर रहे हैं थिंक इंडिया के प्लेटफॉर्म पे, ये कहीं ना कहीं मैक्रो पॉलिसी के लेवल पे और माइक्रो एक्शन के लेवल पे फलीभूत होकर कहीं ना कहीं इम्पैक्ट लाएगा। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर गिविंग मी एन अपॉर्चुनिटी।
Thanks a lot, sir, for your advice and the knowledge you gave us. It is really helpful for all of us. Your ideas are of great value to everyone present here, and we hope we reach the top of our entrepreneurial journey of our country. Now we also with us we have Srinivas sir with us, and I request you, sir, to guide us and share with us your thoughts on the topic and how beneficiary it could be for the nation.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you are audible.
At the outset, let me please thank the Think India National Coordinators and I think Prateek and Harsha Agrawal and also Rajat of Karnataka Coordination for organizing such an event and making it online in the times of COVID. This clearly shows an entrepreneurial mindset by itself. There's a problem, we have a solution. So there's a precedent already set by this meeting. That's first point. Second point is, I would like to thank Dr. Sunil Shukla and Mr. Hiranmay Mahanta for their wonderful insight, wherein the space is not much left for me to probe and speak. But still, with my experience at a premier institution of Indian Institute of Science and other institute of repute abroad in India, I would like to share my experiences. Some of you wanted, some Hindi also. We are not very good in Hindi, but we'll try to see and speak in Hindi also. And you can ask me wherever you want, if it's too boring, getting too boring in English, you may please suggest me Hindi, I'll pick up. Okay. Now, today's talk is about policy for student entrepreneurship. Now, let us think. What is a student? What is the main purpose of student? Vidyarthi. His main purpose is to get education, not to get into unnecessary other activities. But why student entrepreneurship? The main reason for this is, like we have also conducted some research, and I thank Dr. Sunil Shukla, whose research details are very close to our details, where 17 to 23% of the students are natural entrepreneurs. They don't want to get into a system which suffocates them, the employment model that suffocates them. There are two categories in this group. One is the family business group, wherein their forefathers, parents and forefathers are already into family, so they have a business mindset. You don't need, a lot to take them to the water. They know, अपना घाट का पानी पी चुके हैं. They know their places. Now there are these other entrepreneurs who are the first time entrepreneurs in their family. Their families never went to entrepreneurship, either whether they are rich, they are into civil services, or other areas, or the middle class who build the huge enterprise called India, and then they want to make sure that their next bread and butter is available. These people have kind of pressure from the family, but also they want to move ahead. Then we had another, this more like the Pareto principle, 80-20 principle. Then there are other people who would like to get into it, test the waters, see if they succeed, else be ready to get into their employment model. That is the other people. Then there are other around 15 to 20% or more, almost 30%, if I may say so, who develop sweat and fear, even at the term risk. Entrepreneurship is all about risk taking. Dam hona chahiye. Because if you don't have that dam, because everyone give all, mentorship and everything, and money is given, mentorship is given, someone identifies the market, someone identifies the blue ocean strategy, all these things happen. But do you have it in you to take it forward? That's very important. Now let us look at Karnataka government, or we have to once go back to our thanks to current central government, because students, today you are in the golden period of studentship. Never before in student life was there an opportunity where government is coming to your doorstep, offering you complete support, almost like spoon feeding. Think of us as students who wanted to build entrepreneurships, like Dr. Sunil Shukla, if I'm not wrong, was mentioning. अरे यार पता नहीं चलता कहाँ पे रजिस्टर करवाना है, अगर रजिस्टर करवाना है तो कितना चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट को देना है, और लेबर वाला क्या बोलता है, वो कितने लोग आते हैं तुम्हारे को चेकअप करने के लिए, अगर सीधे तरीके से चाहे कितना करप्शन करना पड़ता है, कहाँ से पैसा आता है, बीच में माँ बाप का ताने, क्या क्या कर रहे हो, ये सब बेकार की काम कर रहे हो तुम. All these things we have to face. But your generation, who are the students, right from high school, believe me, the youngest entrepreneur who have applied for our hackathon was a class 9 student, and he came up with a model of medication reminder. and distribution model, which also had a feature where if you miss a medication, it is close to the next medication, it skips the medication. Class 9 student to PhD and postgraduate students at least 6 to 5 years, after their universities, who are also called and covered under students under the new policy of the government. Now look at the financial support and thing. For example, government of Karnataka. It has a model called New Age Incubation Network 9, in which it has selected 30 colleges and is, around 2,500 students have registered and is conducting boot camps, etc. for them. And this is happening all over India. Now, again, we'll come to the point about the 20% and other things. I find the policy should support those people who want to be as entrepreneurs and are not worried about the 60 or odd percent who fear entrepreneurship, but support strongly, who have that. What was the term used by Mr. Mahanta? Panga. Yes, I noted it down. That's wonderful. Panga, the challenge. People who are ready to take the challenge, support the challenge. And the second thing, some people may not be ready to take the challenge, but the policy should be in such a way that we develop a network around it. And even while a company is being formed, we give the support system to them so that they don't shy away. And the other people who have guts to take the panga will move ahead, while the people who would like to take a lightly, step back, will be continuing their role in the entrepreneurship by giving their inputs and their services. For example, in the startup entities that we have, we do not discriminate. As long as your idea is good, you're welcome. For example, the oldest person having a startup in the medtech is Dr. Pranesh Rao, who is, I think, around 81 years old. And thank you from now, I already spoke, and mean age group is around 23. It started off around 35, and slowly I find that, when the opportunities are opening up, the experienced people are today opening up, bringing their experience, and the youngsters who are raring to go at the student level itself are coming up. Now, where do they face issues? One is whether they have to focus more on establishment of a company or their creativity. Now, this is a great challenge. The youngsters are more inclined towards the creativity rather than the establishment. So the policy should be in such a way, while the youngsters continues to focus on their creativity, there is a system. The policy dictates that a system be there at every level, which will fulfill all the paraphernalia required for them to build the company. Earlier, you have to go from door to door to build a company. Now, all the doors are coming together and getting close to opening windows to you, so that almost like a single window, you can get all the things. That's where the policy should lead. And I see it leading towards that as I see it today. Maybe it's not yet there, but it surely is moving towards that. Now, having the next point is, how do you balance your education and entrepreneurship? Now, let me tell you one thing. Most of the entrepreneurs, guys, in student, frankly, their mind is not much on their education. They feel suffocated. They have come because into the engineering or medical, they come into there because there is a lot of peer pressure and other things to focus, get educated, get employment and other things. They feel suffocated. And their strength, the other intellectual property or other intelligence that they have to establish an entity is thrown, we in the education, we make sure that is destroyed. and he is made into the lumpen element as part of the others to fall into the clerical babu system, or whatever that employment model is. Those people have to be supported. They may be slightly less in their education. Then, as our other speakers have noted, those who are on the borderline, they have to be supported. So again, the policy should take care that the new intellectuals who seek employment but would become entrepreneurs if they are given some support. Because the middle class mentality and the lower middle class and rising middle class mentality would be Bhadralok, safe, always safe. And entrepreneurship is a great risk. So what is the minimum risk that, protection that you can give to the entrepreneurship? At what level the risk protection should be there? The policy should be focusing on that also. For example, in the college level and other things, if you see 9 and other policies, you can start off with the first thing that will be given for your proof of concept is 50,000. Then you get 3 lakhs. Then you will, can go to the next step and get up to 50 lakhs, for example, in Elevate Karnataka. And then it keeps on the BIRAC and the startup. It goes on. The point is, the concept has to be proven. Now, people ask, what is it if you are doing all these things? Believe me, soldiers fight in the borders. The neo entrepreneurs who have patents, the new patents in their bags, are the new soldiers of India. When Lal Bahadur Shastri, beloved Prime Minister, has said Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, and it was one more thing was added as Jai Vidwan. I would say, please add one more thing, that we have to appreciate the student entrepreneurship who is bringing in the patents. Why patents? Today, anything you want to do, unless patents are there, most of the money is going out of the country because we have to pay for the patents. Second, the manufacturing setup is lost. Third, the ability to make it, bring the deep tech into entrepreneurship model has to be cultivated, and the best risk takers are the students and the people who are 3 to 4 years, 5 years, from the studentship, where you can take a risk. There's a lot of time ahead where you can get back. So the policies have to be in such a way, like entry into the entrepreneurship, it should be easy. And if suppose something goes wrong, you're getting suffocated, you're not able to do it, the policy should support suspended animation of the entrepreneurship, and these people coming back, not really exiting, believe me, not really exiting, putting it in suspended animation, getting into their employment, believing in themselves, getting some resources, and coming back to continue their thing. Such kind of policy also has to be there, because after 5 years of education and 8 years of education, you'll have the families and other things, and believe me, lot of pressure is there. Upcoming and running, ready to take off businesses, entrepreneurship, I have seen collapsing because right at the crucial moment, there's no support either from the family or the policy. That's one thing I wanted to share with you. Then, these people, the student entrepreneurship, when you're doing one more thing is about the funding system. See, the central government has made a policy of 1% of the college's fund has to be for the entrepreneurship. Now, I would like to bring your focus to Mr. Ranadive, and there one is taking an example. Maybe we should not quote the names and other things. I think Bio Capital or something like Bo Capital or something like that, who has supported funding for a particular university only for the student entrepreneurs. Now, how many of such things are happening in India? There should be a clear policy which gives benefits to these people, individuals, company, and other things who get associated and make this, if suppose the college is providing 1% and it is supporting wholeheartedly everything. So there should be, either the matching thing coming from such people or more funds flowing into such entities. Either way, there should be an entity wherein these people can give in and get tax benefits and other benefits, just like they are getting in US and other places, so that the student entrepreneurship funds increase. And when people have to move away, they're forced to move away for a different reason, there's some more support given to these student entrepreneurs so that they can move ahead. Now, we are in the medtech space. In medtech space, in Institute of Science, we focus on the domain. For example, when someone comes to us with an idea and other things, the first thing we immediately ask is, did you do your market research? They are confused. What is the market research? I have an idea and I have come up. That's where we support them. Whether the idea is is it going to be really used by someone? Is it going to be paid by someone? That's where you come to that this has to be done. Unless you do these basics, some policy which supports, which is already there but implemented in its spirit. And you also have to be either loosely coupled or tightly coupled, and the policy itself should indicate wherein, so let us say, electronic or ECE engineer, a BTech, or someone wants to do a medical device. So in his entrepreneurship, he should be able to collaborate, or if possible, bring in someone from the medical fraternity who understands the medical part of it. Same thing holds good in fintech. Same thing holds good in other in agriculture and other entities also. For example, we have seen certain technologists who have these ideas of what to do and other things, but they don't even know what is the spacing between the two plant rows to be given. So even if it is a farmer, even if it is, please understand this perspective. When you're doing the either from the policy side or from the entrepreneur side, student entrepreneur side, you should include a domain expert. A domain expert need not be always be, like I said, an agriculture professor, for example, agriculture. A well-doing farmer who is getting good awards and other things, who has ideas of his own, can also be part of your entrepreneurship. Like, people may not like, but I quote Dhirubhai Ambani, what he said: you cannot grow unless you share. Entrepreneurship should be loose coupling, supported by government, spearheaded by the young student entrepreneurs, and of course, and other entrepreneurs also. But this is where you have high risk-taking potential, and then taken into your depth, जैसे जो farmers है या जो भी है अपना रियल टाइम उसमें काम कर रहे हैं, उनका भी इनपुट्स लेने का, और हो सके तो उनको भी अपने साथ लेने का. If you are able to do this, that will be successful. That entrepreneurship will be successful. If someone thinks that I will learn, you may learn. I will not say, I will not deny. You may have capacity and you may learn. But most of the cases, if someone thinks I'm a technology guy, I will learn domain, I will learn the finances, I will learn the business, I will learn that, slightly I'm skeptical about that. How much our support we mean? Please, you have to build a team. The student entrepreneurship has to be very important. That is the reason going forward, for example, we as CPD Med TBI, we are planning to connect with 9 and other entities out in the states. Soon we'll be writing to them, whether in Orissa or Gujarat or anything, to see that how we can support these entities, especially in the medtech space, to build this collaborative effort to take this forward, so that when you are building the businesses or building the entities, whether it is a LLP or a private limited company, that you have a balance of people around who think like you. For example, your classmate may not appreciate you at that point, there. They think you are showing off, or, you are an idiot. But for example, you are from Rohtak. Nobody believes you in Rohtak, but someone in Mangalore believes you. Right? As a country, it is very important that we connect across the borders, or at least start within the state and connect and see the teams are built. That. And one more thing I wanted to say, the funds and other thing, the quality. See, there's always this issue, the China. Why do we fear China? German, wow, German, the quality. Bill, remember one thing, we Indians are always good at creation, but we are not able to make sure that the first one, the quality at which the first one is created, is continues to be of the same quality till the last one we send out. That's the reason either in medical or in defense, where we are spending a lot out, we are not able to bring out our own products and our own private enterprise because of quality. And it has to be, the quality is not a kind of, at the end thing. So we have to have a policy within the entrepreneurship community and entities, wherein, along with creativity, there is someone who is making sure that how far we are from the standards. That's what I said. You need a balanced team. So once you have the balanced team, and that you have the vigor and the rare, the student entrepreneurship is the best bet for the government of India to build the new India. And my dear student entrepreneurs, it never was better. This is your opportunity. Please grab the opportunity with both your hands and let us know how we can support you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such a beautiful piece of advice. These ideas will surely create an impact on the budding entrepreneurs. Now, I hope all of you have enjoyed this session, and it is time we discuss our question with panelists. While all panelists are free to put on their thoughts, and if anyone has encountered any questions, they can put it in our chat box itself. So, sir, we have few questions with us. How do students go about looking for grants? Which is good place to start? Are there any listing of centers from where we could get grants? Also, is there a competitiveness indicator among such centers which could help us select the most effective, efficient, and grant friendly centers? So that is our first question.
Who are you going to quit?
Yeah, sir, this is our first question. Any one of you are open to answer our questions?
It's a good question. There are certain schemes, as students probably might remember, our Honorable Prime Minister in 2016 January had unveiled Startup Action Plan. So if the startup is associated, though it is not essential, but if they are associated with any incubation center, and incubation center resource persons can help them identifying the sources of support. And there are financial institutions, there are angel investors. So there are events which are being organized by various institutions, like elevator pitches and also interaction with various funds managers. So they can find out, and there are certain banks, like we have collaboration with various banks, and they provide debt funding or equity funding. Normally, debt funding is slightly easier based on your product and based on marketability and feasibility of that product. That is easier to attract. equity, also they can discuss with some investors, and if investors find any value, they can negotiate and attract funding support. As Hiranbhai Mahanta also said, that funding is not that of a requirement, but I mean it comes little later. But first is that confidence and your ability to convince, persuade others how different your product is, what kind of value it will add to the existing product or services, and then you can approach institutions for funding support. Yes.
Thank you. May I add something to that?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, the first step is to look into your college. As I said, the policy of central government is that 1% of the budget has to be allocated for the entrepreneurship. Why to the college? Because it acts as a feedback mechanism whether the institutions are allocating that 1% and have institutionalized the spirit of entrepreneurship in the institutions. If the institution says we do not have any such facility, it is time you write to the central government. Think India and other people can support you and see why such institution has not put in place the 1% policy. That's the first place. It's a good place to start. Next, they also asked that are there any listing of centers where we can get good grants? Just Google it. You have n number of centers from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, BIRAC, Elevate Karnataka. Each state is coming up with its own thing. Basically, all these are funded by Startup India. There's a line like Dr. Sunil Shukla has said, the investors and other things. But believe me, the competitiveness indicator is one which you have to take care of yourselves. For example, if you want to go for early grants, why should someone give you grants? You're asking for grants. So it means you want money without any threats attached. Correct? Grant is that paise de do bhul jao, right? So you have to be your pitch should be very good to make sure for the other person to come eager and say that yes, if this goes into the market tomorrow, there will be a social impact, there will be a national impact, then you will be able to get such grants. Okay. For example, one of the companies incubated came up with a very simple solution for glaucoma in medication administration. The other company came with implantable solution. Now both of them got grant under different segments. One got a grant for immediate social impact. The other got a grant for patent and things which will go a long way in when you see it from the national perspective. Okay, so this is the one which you have to keep in mind. Then effective, efficient, and grant-friendly centers. I would say anything coming from the startup India, I think are effective and efficient. The university grants are slightly delayed. There are grants called Indo-US friendship, Indo-Dutch friendship, Indo-UK friendship, where one of your partners will be from that country. There also, if your idea is great, there also you have grants. So you see which is best in your situation and finalize. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for taking these questions. Next question we have from our Facebook Live, and the question is to Sunil, sir. Innovators are not confident enough to start a business because of lack of awareness regarding legal issues. So, what do you suggest?
You have answered. I mean, the question itself has answered. So you need to verify, you need to check up. There is a department within DST itself. Probably Dr. Srinivas can talk more about that. But you can check up whether there is any innovation filed, innovation or patent existing, and accordingly they can find out. They can go ahead. But I would say that please understand, while it is desirable it is strongly desirable that entrepreneurs come up with innovative products or the services. But every time it may not be possible to come up with the innovations. So they can also, again, I highlight the word also simultaneously. They can also find out if there is any value addition in the product that they are going to launch, what kind of differentiations they can have. So value addition can also serve, and all those ventures which are started every year, they're not very innovative. I mean, about 8 to 10% would be maximum 10%, but many others are value additions, or at one place this has been successful, they are trying to test that market at another place. They can also look at it. And innovation is not just invention. It could be introduction of either a new product or maybe improvement, or identifying a new source of supply, reaching out to new market. That's also innovation. So they can look at other parts, or maybe new way of processing. That is also innovation. They can look at all that. Yes, Dr. Srinivas probably will be able to give us information about the department.
You already answered, but just to add to it, the local startup entities like Startup Karnataka, Startup Orissa and other things, they have already come up to the, I don't know which educational institute he's from, but if you go onto their website, you can see the support for the legal entity right from, because it's called pre-incubation, right? Even before you set up a company, once a company is ready, it is incubation. Before you set up company, it is pre-incubation. So there's a lot of support in pre-incubation. Please look for pre-incubation support. Then the legal part, when you say that, they come at different levels. Like I said, it need not be innovation, always a legal issue. It could be just setting up of the company, or it is about, you have discovered something, whether you can apply for a patent or not, or it is a value addition, or
your voice is not clear, sir.
Hello?
Your voice is not clear.
Oh, is it better now?
Yes, sir, your
Hello?
voice is clear. Yeah, sir, your voice is clear. And if anyone has any suggestion, they can put it in the chat box itself.
Yeah,
Sir, your
wonderful.
voice is completely clear.
Thank you. So when this comes to the pre-incubation model, always look back first in your college or institute itself. Then look to the local student entrepreneurship entity. For example, 9 is the entity in Karnataka. Similarly, in your state, there will be entities. The central government has set up, it has cascaded throughout the country. If some states are lagging behind, the feedback mechanism and other things will improve those things. But then you have the patent support system and pre-incubation support system, and many of these entities are actually looking for entrepreneurs to support. Believe me, today the pre-incubation support system is much wider network and established, and we are eagerly looking for quality entrepreneurs, or not entrepreneurs, quality minded persons, self-driven people to come in and establish. So you let me know. You can use my mail ID, and perhaps my secretariat, or people will be able to help you. If it is medtech, we will directly help you. If it is not medtech, we'll surely send you to the right person who will be able to give you the answer or support you. Next.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is, as all of us talk about the state policies related to startups, so will it be more beneficial if we have same pattern and tender policies same all over India, or it is better to have state-wise policies?
I would vote for state-wise policies.
Because these policies need to be based on the local requirements, local skills, local resources, local challenges. So I would agree with Dr. Srinivas. Yeah.
Yeah, see, all the state policies that which we are looking at actually come from the key principles of central policies only. the central government makes a policy and then gives enough scope for state governments to apply the policy in their states as they deem fit. So, in fact, you are looking at, a parent who is giving enough money and enough freedom, but is making sure that you are not out of line. That's how the central government policies work today.
But any policy that helps the entrepreneur, I would say that is the best policy.
Yes.
Not even your state, even other state policy. An
Correct.
entrepreneur should have that flexibility to benefit from any policy that suits them.
Correct.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightenment on this topic. We have two more questions like now, and we are very much thankful for all the viewers for joining, and we are special thankful to all our panelists, Srinivas sir, Sunil Shukla sir, Hiranmay Mahanta sir. Because of some time constraint, Hiranmay Mahanta sir could not join us little more. So we are but we are very thankful for his presence, Hiranmay sir. And I thank all our panelists for giving their time and mentoring us. And this session would definitely help us in the future and for our budding entrepreneurs. We are very thankful to you, sir, and we are also very thankful to all of our participants for joining.
Thank you. Wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I also request all of our viewers to attend today's evening talk on this session of finance. And timing for that session would be from 6 to 8 p.m. And thank you everyone for
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas. It's a pleasure meeting you. Earlier on an important assignment, I worked with Dr. P.N. Rangarajan from your institute. Convey my regards to him, please.
Yes, please. Sure.
Yes. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meeting you, Dr. Sunil Shukla. Pleasure.
Thank you, sir, for joining.